I believe that it's very important to pamper ourselves. Everyone needs time for themselves, or rather, a break from the day to day work. However, with the busy lifestyle one has in today's time, pampering ourselves is just cornered. But now, with my lawn being taken care of, with my house being cleaned, with handymen always available to fix my house, and all this at affordable prices, I do get my time and I'm living a dream life. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ritesh Malik, co-founder Workeefy Inc., the man who made it possible for me and many other people like me to spend time on things that we love doing. Ritesh, welcome to Bay Street Diary.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I look forward to it.
You're most welcome. So, Ritesh, let's start by knowing what Workeefy is and what problem are you trying to solve here?
Workeefy is a platform where, again, in terms of a problem, what we try to do is we try to digitize a platform, provide a solution to home users, and along with the home users, we try to give a definition to all these micro entrepreneurs or service providers who are out there in the field, who knows their skills but don't know how to promote it, don't know how to get those jobs. So we decided to create a platform which is Workeefy, by giving the home users a convenience and experience on itself, when they can on demand through their app can someone schedule these services when they need anything to be done at their home, while on the other hand, these micro entrepreneurs who are fetching for these jobs are now able to get those on demand on their phone at a time then they can go and execute it. So that's what the platform is all about.
So you make their life simple.
I try to.
So being a co-founder of a startup is very different from working for corporates, and you decided to leave the comfort shell and enter into the world of entrepreneurship. What teething issues accompanied you with this decision of yours?
Good question. For us, for me personally, as such, coming out from that zone where when you walk into this corporate world, there are some processes, there are some parameters, and there's some structure in an environment that's already there, and you are just trying to either enhance it or try to make the best use of it. Whereas when it came to a startup, the idea was to use those experiences that I got in about my 18 years of corporate world to come into a world where there's no processes, you're defining it every day, and there's not a hierarchy of a system of an employee-employer. Right. One day you can be that person who's picking up the phone, the next day you will be the same person who's presenting in terms of a very heavy investor group. So for me, it was an experience on its own, but to come from a corporate background to this, it has been an amazing journey, and I'm able to implement all those learnings and experiences that I had from that world into it. So it makes that transition easy.
Right. I understand that. So what phase of business is Workeefy in today? Tell us more about your numbers, investors. Have you raised any funds, and what are the future plans of Workeefy?
So in our case, we launched Workeefy to the public last year, July. Okay. So this year, July 1, we completed our 1 year, 12 months of being active and live in the environment. So for us, the growth has been an exemplary growth. We're almost to a point that I can really call it a steroid growth. Okay. We captured a great number of users. First 6 months was more like we thought that we would be into a beta phase where we would be understanding the market and trying to adapt this model to the market, but to our surprise, it was accepted, recognized by the market in a way that our beta results were actually the live results that we had to go live into further cities as well. So the growth has been great in these 12 months. And in terms of which phase we are in terms of an investments, we have started getting a lot of interest from investors. We are in negotiations with a couple of angel networks who we have pitched, got some initial discussions done, and we are progressed ourselves into a due diligence stage as well. So it's working very good for us. In the meantime, the investments that we have done so far in the company has been all between me and my other two co-founders. So we've not got any debt into the company as such. We have not got into a bank debt as yet, even though it is available if needed. But from us, we've done our own seed investments into it.
All right.
And now more than negotiating, working with investing partners as they come along with their due diligence study.
Okay. Sounds great. I'm sure it's going to do well in future. So Workeefy generated close to $500,000 of revenue in the first 8 months of business, which is a great number to look at. But I do feel that the major challenge today for any company like yours is to get the work outsourced. What are your views on this?
In our case, when it comes to revenue, the revenue growth, as I said in my previous point, we had a very, very astonishing results in the first 8 months, which gave us more like a confidence beyond what we were trying to achieve out of it. The numbers are much better. But in terms of outsourcing the work as such, in our case, the beauty of this technology or this platform is all these independent contractors are actually taking that outsourced job anyways. So for us, when a home user is booking a job, these independent contractors, which I call workeefiers or micro entrepreneurs, as I would love to, they are not fully 100% spending their time on this platform itself. They have their independent jobs they do all along their day, and this is additional based on their needs, based on their availability of time, so they can pick up this job. And if I were to relate to any other business model, you can take it towards an Uber driver. An Uber driver has a profession in so many cases of what they do during the day, and if at all they have a free time or they have a passion, or if at all they want to take it as a full time, depending upon their requirements and their interest, they can adapt. So this model is an outsourced model from inception, from beginning itself, and depends on the needs of the service provider, how much they want to get involved. There are some who spend 8 to 10 hours on this platform on a given day because they love it and they're getting a lot of job notifications that they're able to perform. And some are using it on the weekends itself when they have done their 5-day worth of a regular job and they want to spend their another 2 days into doing some handyman work and some other jobs that they need to. They're also signed up on the platform. So it gives a variation different between the different players.
Right. I understand about the Uber drivers, but you need specialized people. So don't you think it is difficult to get right people at the right time in this case?
Very well. And again, that was our initial, I would call, a thought of an obstacle or a challenge we would have. And so what we initially did is when we initially onboarded about 10 or 20 service providers, use their feedback as to what other platforms, what other environment they publish themselves to get jobs from. And when we look into it, gradually when they started taking these jobs, to our surprise, even though we go through a rigorous onboarding process, as you said, this is a specialized trade. Not everybody can be a handyman. Not everybody can be that gas technician for that matter. So they go through a rigorous check from us. We need to make sure they have their trade certificates. We need to make sure they have their liability insurances. We need to make sure they have an eligibility to work in this Canadian environment. So we need to make sure they have a police clearance for that matter, because if they're going to touch your and my homes as such by coming inside, we need to make sure they are trustworthy, they're trusted partners. So beyond onboarding, what we gradually have seen a change in about 6 months is a handyman knows a plumber, and a plumber knows a cleaning person. So they have a beautiful network. So we would get registrations coming from a plumber because Mr. Handyman told him, hey, there's an app you should sign up for. So now the tables have turned in a way that for us, there's a long queue of service providers who are ready to be onboarded when we need them, kind of an idea. Because if I'm getting about 100 jobs a day, I do not need 500 service providers. But we are at a point where right now we have got 900 service providers already signed up to this technology, to this app, ready to work as the work comes in, and we are gradually onboarding. We only have about 200 which are live right now for us, which is meeting our demand as such. But on the other hand, they are available. Our onboarding team is working through their certifications, to their documents, giving them a training, and gradually they're coming, joining this group. So for me, initial phase, yes, it was a challenge. How do we get them? Now it is a challenge how fast we can onboard them. So it's a good problem to have.
But Ritesh, there are similar companies doing what you are offering. What makes Workeefy different from those companies?
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? It's a great point. I would answer it into two different phases. By the way, one would be is opportunity versus demand. Excuse me. So in terms of the opportunity itself, there are about 2 or 3 new players, or I would the players who were there before us as well, who are in this market, but the 10 million users are just Canadian. And out of those, to cater that kind of a demand, I don't think either one of us have achieved that level yet to fulfill it. When we talk about, and I'm going to take an example, which is a booming industry for Canada and any other part of the world, is real estate. There are so many real estate agents, but what they do is they all are able to meet their livings or meet those demands because the overall growing demand in this Canadian landscape, it's a land of immigrants.
Right.
They're more every time coming in. From that perspective, the opportunity is big, but how do I differentiate? How does Workeefy differentiate ourselves between our competitors or between other players who are into the same arena? Is with a different variety of services. So we currently offer about 55 unique services and expanding. And there are a couple of players, without taking their names as such on the platform, but there are some who focus specifically into home renovation market. There are some who are focused more on the day-to-day home cleaning needs on this other side. Whereas our platform not only captures one or the other, but captures both and then beyond. We uniquely also added a service which is for called Glamour Squad, which is for a home on demand. We can summon or we can schedule a service related to spa, henna, and home makeup artist. So these services differentiate us from the other platforms where they are focused on to one, where we have to. Our idea behind Workeefy is a one unique shop for all your home needs.
Right.
Whether it's cleaning, whether it's your home maintenance, which involve whether it's a handyman or a plumbing service, whether a gas technician, and along with that, some services which are
personal,
totally out of the box, which are Glamour Squad, which are personal to you. Yeah, right. So those, and again, we were surprised when we launched Glamour Squad last year in October, and where we had our own reservation, should we or should we not. To our surprise, there were tons of people placing orders for this particular service, which when we looked deeper into it, they were ordering it for their Halloween makeups. So it created a different, so the demand is there. As long as we can position it, I think we can differentiate ourselves into this market and digitize it. And again, if I were to add more to it, we take an example where going back to again a concept that was devised by Uber. You consider Uber, but that you consider so many other ride-sharing platforms that have adapted. But I think they all have a piece of a pie to take it for us, and that's how we see it.
Okay. As of now, the major business for Workeefy is in the residential sector, but your company is making its way in the commercial and industrial side of business. From a business point of view, would you consider putting more efforts in the residential space or commercial?
For us, Workeefy was started with always an idea of keeping mind of home users. So yes, our primary focus would always be on the residential side, but it was a pleasant surprise to us when we started promoting this model, and when we went to public, we started getting, because it's an on-demand kind of a service, and it can relate to a lot of commercial businesses too, where they need things to be done on the fly. They do have their own tradesmen or network that they have that support their businesses, but there will be situations when that person is not available or doesn't show up and they needed it. So we started getting those requirements, whether it was towards a handyman requirement, whether it requires cleaning services, or in some unique way, landscaping services too. So we started catering them as well. So yes, we've seen a good trajectory on the commercial side, which we would continue to pursue, because for us, we have the tradesmen and they can support it. Some trades would needs to be commercial certified, so we are working towards that piece too. But our major focus, if I were to say, as we grow further, would be residential, but commercial will come along. So we are in the process in the due course of time to come into a B2B platform available as well.
Well, that would be great for your company, though.
Absolutely.
So, Ritesh, I'll be a bit blunt on this one. What is there in Workeefy for the investors? You are in the first year of your business with decent numbers. What are your expectations from the investors, and what are you willing to give them in return?
It is a question that we had to initially debate ourselves in a bit between the co-founders as well. But now, as I've gone through quite a few of discussions with these angel investors and a couple of venture capitalists as well, so where we see the opportunity for an early stage investor at this point for us would be considering the advantage they would have, and they do have, they've recognized is no debt. Right now, all the company is fully funded and sits on a zero owings as such, if you would call to anybody on that side. So when they join in, when they are coming as an investor to this company, they are joining in to help expand it. All their money is going towards the actual KPIs of the company, whether it's a growth area of marketing, whether it's establishing a platform to the next level in terms of enhancement, or going into deeper into different geographies. Right. So they're not investing into to develop a platform, to launch a platform, or spend money into cleaning up the previous debt. Because the ideas are great, but at the end of the day, how to implement and how to achieve some results. So we are going into the market with an idea. Yes, we have done that. We have given the investors a comfort that the model is proven, and we are not walking in with a big negative sitting on us. Right. And in terms of their future, whether it's an angel investor or whether it's a venture capitalist perspective, how we see the growth itself from a user, the kind of user growth that we are achieving right now, or it's growing further, we will be at a very, I would say in a very short span of time, we would be at a stage where the ecosystem would be developed itself. So the company is going to run on its own, the ecosystem. At that time, whether we go for a Series A investment, where the angels would have a great opportunity to either take those early exits with a lot of return on their investments, or if they want to stick around, then they would have a great opportunity with us as we take this platform to the next level. Right. And how we mention about the investors, as I said, there are 2 or 3 that we are already in early discussions with, and we have seen some interest happening, some discussions happening on VC stage as well. Okay. So overall, I think we are moving in the right direction on that side too.
Wow, that's great. So I remember talking to your team and knowing that one of the market investors was really impressed with the tech backend of Workeefy, and they even requested you to sell it to them. Would you take this positively? I mean, you would have wanted them to invest in your business model and not the tech base. Your comments on this?
No, very well said. Again, so a good observation, by the way. So in our case, there were a couple of investors who approached us or came forward. One of them, by the way, I would take definitely this as a compliment. For us, it's a positive that they see the robustness of the platform. They see the technology is not something that we have created a shell structure and we would be enhancing it further. Definitely. And the advantage we have on that side between the 3 co-founders, one of us come from a very heavy technology background, so that gave us the insight and it gives us the leverage of using his skills, knowledge, to make it to the level which is not growing, but is to that level 5 already from the day 1. Right. So that gives an advantage. How we are going to leverage, and again, where we are seeing good results is we have seen interest where we walked in more towards an investment side, but a very, very major software player in the Canadian market and in global as such. a CEO of that company, Jonas Software, Barry Simmons, has shown some interest, and he's actually accepted to be joining us on the board of directors.
Wow.
So that gives us an advantage. It gives us an more like a confidence that yes, the technology is robust. Now it's only a matter of penetrating the deeper markets and establishing.
Right, definitely. So now when Workeefy is all set to make a start in Calgary and Vancouver, would there be more services added to your business profile depending on the geography, or for now you would keep having the same services offered to the clients in Toronto, GT and Ottawa?
From the core services perspective, whether it's a Toronto market, whether it's a Vancouver or Calgary, should be the same, and they are the same because homes are homes. Homes require the same renovation, same maintenance, same care, whether it's a cleaning or any other. So those services definitely would be the same. So our initial focus would be to cater the same services, but for our platform, from a technology perspective, we are ready. We can add, modify zone-based, postal code-based marketing, or adding additional services to it. So for us, as we grow, as we learn into those different geographies, if at all there are different demands or different price points too. Vancouver price points in terms of a market would be different from a tradesman than what is in Toronto versus Ottawa. So our platform can adapt to these different environments, different geographies, different densities of population as well. But in terms of core competence and core services, we would probably focus on the same which we have.
Okay. Ritesh, with the vast experience that you have from the corporate world, and now with the challenges that you faced creating a successful startup, what message do you have for the upcoming young entrepreneurs?
I am trying to be that entrepreneur myself. So one thing that I would definitely say for young emerging entrepreneurs is don't give up. Just continue with their passion, continue with the desire you have, because nowadays, whether it's a digital world, everybody is going towards the technology platforms, and it's evolving every day. So I see a lot of opportunity in not just digitizing the work that we traditionally used to do, but beyond that, I would say there's a lot of opportunity and encouragement given by a lot of private sector investment teams, and plus the government itself. The Canadian government has so many programs in place. So there are a lot of support system developed and to provide that encouragement to entrepreneurs. So identify your core strengths, identify your idea, and surround yourself with people who you think can guide you with some experience. And I think then success is not overnight, but success is not impossible if you have that passion to drive it.
Right.
So for me, I would say I would welcome them. And if at all there's any way we as emerging entrepreneurs and whatever knowledge we bring along with us from our past, if somebody needs to reach out and share some of our experience, we would love to.
Oh, that's great. That was Ritesh Malik from Workeefy Inc. making us walk through his side of business. Thank you, Ritesh, for sharing with us the insights of creating a successful startup. We wish you good luck for Workeefy's future plans and goals.
No, I thank you. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity, and special thanks to you and the Bay Street Diary for giving this platform to the young entrepreneurs and to the startups to bring it out to the market, to give us that exposure for investors to look at it, and beyond that to showcase what we have achieved. So thank you for this platform.
Thank you so much. Friends, I'll see you next week with another exciting and successful entrepreneurial story. Remember, we at Bay Street Diary are committed to bringing you the best. Till then, please keep spreading love.